all I've had from last time is because of how I sit, right? If anything, it's a bit small. I had comment after comment saying, why you got your dad's suit on? That's what the comments were. Look what I've just had now, look. Not even joking. Let me get this up for the camera. Your suit looks pucker, brother. I've done a little live stream saying my suit fits me, all right? It fits me. So good morning. We have a busy day. Fans are ribbing Mark Wright for pickering up a cringe American accent. Well, he's been in America 2 weeks, he's got an American accent, one of them ones. I've got to see it. 30-year-old's voice was unrecognisable as he joked with Liam Neeson. It can't be as bad as Joey Barton's. In fact, we're cutting Joey Barton's speech into this just for the crack, because Joey Barton, I forget what you used to call me, a knuckle-dragging moron, didn't you, or something like that? Joey Barton, who all of a sudden went to France for about a week and come on with some pathetic French accent.
So for me, it's important that people speak about the qualities I bring as a footballer, and I'm a little bit bored, you know, from the English media, and hopefully the French media has more about it than the English media, and concentrate on stupid little incidents like this.
A teenage boy's been charged with murder following a stabbing. Madness. I was outside Parsons Green, you know, Parsons Green, where there was a terrorist attack just last month. There were 30 people injured in a terrorist attack last month. You know how bad it is? Because I'd forgot that. I'd forgot that because I was talking about terrorist attacks the other day. I went over Westminster Bridge, Manchester, Borough Market. I'd forgot the Parsons Green one. A student died of taking ecstasy for the first time on a shuttle bus heading for Radio 1's. Fatal dose of MDMA. Do you know what? One of my mates died of MDMA. And he was a great lad. And do you know what? His whole life he'd gone against all the, how do I say it? The stereotype for where he was from a very rough area, very rough background. And do you know, he was completely against drugs all his life. He was a footballer, aspiring footballer. And he didn't take drugs until he went to Australia, a year out when he was older. And then he started taking MDMA. God. Yeah, is that what's wrong? Is that what's wrong? Thanks, Luce. Is that what it is? Is that why it looks too big or too small?
It's because you hunch over.
I'm a hunchback. Hang on, I'm trying to read the paper. Hang on. Sorry, Luce. We're not all toffs. This is how, well, you wouldn't be reading the Star, would you? What would you have, the Times? Is that what Father would be reading? Lucy was in Black Lives Matter. No joke. She was in Black Lives Matter. There's a video of her in Black Lives Matter. And here she is sitting opposite me. Brilliant, isn't it? Oh, I'm reading about the news. Why did I think that was Katie Price? Basically, the Star has no news in it. It's mad, isn't it? Newspaper has no news. You know, I look at it and think, how did that make it in the paper? I don't know, I'm bothered. That can fuck off anyway. Tory chaos on benefits shake-up. A Labour supporting paper is talking about chaos with benefits. Well, how would you read a paper and try and look posh?
Just look civilised.
I do look civilised.
You always look like you're in head teacher's chair, about to get told off.
I usually was.
So.
Miss Arkles, my head teacher, she actually really liked me. She did. All my teachers liked me. Do you know what? One of my teachers, Mr. Finch, what a legend he was. I'm gutted because he passed away. And his missus, who is now Mrs. Finch, but she was Mrs. Robinson, she contacted us. So she must have dug us out, and she contacted us when he died. He died just a few years ago now, 5 years ago. So I hadn't seen him since I left school, but she contacted us and said, look, I think he'd want you to come. There was me, John, there was a few of us. I think he'd want you to come to his funeral. So we went to his funeral, and then I was gutted then that we never kept in contact with him. And you know, I was me and, who was I? Michael Hunt. So I was with, you've seen the film McGroin, yeah? You know, where I was getting interviewed by a police officer on one of these things. But anyway, so we've got a substitute teacher, and we were messing around, and he took our names. So he said, what's your name? So I said, Phil McGroin, yeah? And John said, Mike Hunt, yeah? Michael Hunt, yeah? So Mr. Finch has come back into class when he's back, and he's gone, right. And he pointed at me and he pointed at John. Who's Michael Hunt and who's Phil McGroin? Because he just knew who it's going to be. Mike Hunt and Mike Hunt. Phil Michael. But the other substitute teacher just brought it up. But yeah, Mr. Finch, man. I don't know, how did I just get onto Mr. Finch? If you went to Partridge High School, Mr. Finch was a legend. Such a nice man. Such a nice man. 4 British aid workers have been kidnapped by gunmen in Nigeria. Local police reported think militant group. No, I got it wrong, man. The Kawi are the suspects, but no ransom has been demanded. Can we quickly look up the Kawi? Can someone Google this? So I'll see if I'm right or wrong. Karowei. By Al-Shabaab. Here's another one for you. You've heard of Al-Shabaab. Am I on about Al-Shabaab? What am I on about? I'm not on about Al-Shabaab. I'm on about... Why is my mind escaping me? Because it's early. Boko Haram. Okay? Boko Haram are the main terrorist organisation in Nigeria. Now, Boko Haram, which the media, all the media and everyone tells us means... Is my suit right, this? Tells us, is it against Western education? That's what they say they're called. Do you know what? They're not even called that. That's just a shortened name that we've given. That's not that terrorist group's name. Their terrorist name, which I'm not going to try and say, but their terrorist name translates as enforcing the teachings of the Prophet Muhammad. That's the terrorist group's name. But they don't want you to think it's anything to do with Muhammad's teachings, do they? So we call it Boko Haram, against Western education. This is what we do. We try and say, oh no, they're not against, it's not nothing to do with Muhammad, it's got nothing to do with Islam, so we'll call them Boko Haram. Like the so-called Islamic State. No, they're called the Islamic State.
It means group of the people of Sunnah for preaching a jihad.
See? I told you. It means group of the people of Sunnah, which is the followers of Muhammad, for preaching a jihad. That's their name. But we call them Boko Haram. Just to try and get away from that. Away from the fact that all the actions that they do are from the scripture of Muhammad. They're from his teachings. It's why they're terrorists. It's why they rape. It's why they murder. But we'll call them against Western education. That's what we'll call them. Church of England attendance has plummeted. Churches are empty. I actually asked this when I was in prison, in Wandsworth Prison. I sat there and I read that week a Christian was about to serve death in an Islamic country for blasphemy. And I sat and I went to church and I thought, right, she's going to mention this. She's going to mention this. No mention. So I put my hand up. I said, can I ask at the end of this church service why you've not mentioned this lady who is being sentenced to death for speaking against Islam? I said, you're in church, okay? She's dying because of her Christian beliefs. You're not mentioning it. I said, there's a reason why when they call church service, there's not many people here, is there? These are your lost sheep. These are your lost sheep, yeah? The people in prison needing help. Now, when they make a call for prayers, for mosque, the whole place gets up and goes prayers. Because you're losing, you're misrepresenting, you're not brave enough, you're not courageous. And I had this big thing in church where I just said, like, I just done my head in. I said, like, you've got someone about to die and you're too scared to even talk about it to your prisoners. You should be bringing Muslims in here. You should be welcoming them to find the truth. Instead, you'll stand with them, have your photo taken, all the church services do, whilst they take all of your followers into their mosques. Anyway, I can't make every single thing about Islam, can I? We're done because we've got to get to the north of England because Muslims have been taking girls as slaves as usual. Basically, that's if we wanted to sum it up. So you'll see that story coming soon. If you want to see more, then please go to TommyRobertson.com. We're trying to get the sharp one off of the ground. Coming soon. Next week, actually. So, yeah, show us your support on TommyRobertson.com. Please go to TommyRobertson.com if you want to see more of this content on my new daily show, which is coming soon, which I need your help for.